Hi Stampin' friends, tonight we're going to use the Jolly Holly stamp set and bundle. What's funny about this is that I thought it was Holly Jolly, but it's not. It's Jolly Holly because it's like Happy Holly. Anyway, you can see what a lot of what this stamp set has is some small items like the holly and the bell and the poinsettia, and then some cute kind of swirly sentiments. Now there's a lot of happy in here. They could have really helped out Americans if they'd put in a New Year. So that's not part of it for some reason. But you can do Merry for everything, but there's a lot of happy, you know, because in Europe they say happy everything. And we could have used a New Year. That would have been a lot smarter. But it also says, may the spirit of the season bring you hope, happiness, and love. So that is a very sweet one for them to have included. It also has the matching embossing folder, and I believe it's a 3D one. It's pretty thick. And then you can take this die cut and sort of cut out the pieces. And then if you wanted to, let me grab one real quick so I'll see what I'm talking about. You could cut these apart, and because they're just kind of held on in a couple of places, you could cut these apart and use them on your cards separately, I feel like. So that is just kind of a, you know, cute other possibility type thing. So I have several different things to show you, or possibilities, or whatever you want to call it. So I will try to be mindful of your time and not get too carried away. This tiny little hole punch here would be super cute. You probably want to use your tweezers or your take-a-pick tool. I'll just go ahead and do that real quick. Grab a hold of it, and you can put those on this. Hold on, let me see if I can get it. I've got a shadow, sorry about that. And you could just put that, you know, using some glue, let the glue get tacky, and pop these on there as the berries. And I think that worked out pretty nicely. A couple of them are small, are too big for that, but still I think that they would look cute done that way. You could just still put all the same size on. I think it'll still be all right. So right now what I'm working on, of course, if you remember, is the Jolly Holly here. Oh, Holly Jolly, Jolly Holly. And I've gone through and cut out, you know, embossed and die cut this. And I just kind of wanted to show you how I would go through and mount this for maximum, I don't know what you would even say, like lift to these things. I would go through the back and put dimensionals under most of these. So what I'm trying to say by that is I would put a dimensional here and maybe here. Now I'm going to go in with my glue, and I'm going to put glue on all the places that I don't want to stand up. So there is one edge of this that has kind of a lot of dots, and it doesn't have much lift. And then I'm going to put it on the inside pieces where I think I want it to be pushed down, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, I think it will more after I finish here. So I'm putting this on all the parts that I want to, basically want to stay low. Get just small amounts here on some of these smaller pieces. Okay, so now, just gonna flip this over, stuck. So let me try to get that like I want it. Scooch it just a little that way. Okay, so now my plan is to push down all the places that, and you can say, well, I could just lift these up, and I could, but my point with this is if they've got a dimensional under them, that will keep them from coming loose to the point that the card messes up when you go to put it in the envelope. As that was one thing I was kind of sensitive to. I was kind of thinking, well, now what if I do that? What's going to happen? So any of these that you finish and you find that they don't have something under them sticking them down, you might want to do that at that point. So let me get my garden green and just kind of put a little on here. I think that will add. Do it on there and make sure I don't get too much. So just going around the edges here and there. You could also, and I meant to show you this, put something under each leaf, and then you could really be more intense with your coloring, if that makes sense. Just getting it just on the tip, and you don't have to worry as much. This might have been better if I showed you on a different one, but anyway, I think you see what I'm talking about here. I'll try not to take too long to show you this. Tuck this one under here. Do it again. I think it's more impactful if I do all of one side though, so I'll try to do that. Because you'll be able to see the difference there. So there you can see I've done that on this side. I've highlighted it, getting some shadows there. Sorry about that. And then on this side, I did not. So it just kind of makes the difference. And then put it on here. I cut out a bunch of the squares and the joy that also are die cut by this set. So you could put red in the middle, kind of tuck it under a couple of these. Just kind of play with it, get it where you want it, tuck it here and there. And then maybe use these have a little bit of smuts on them. Use this under there. You could, maybe you think white would look better. Totally fine. This is another thing that I kind of wanted to show you about putting the joy on here like this with the white cut out. And then, whoops, hold on. Got my hand stuck there. And then maybe put another color joy. I should have shown you on a different one. But you put the joy in there like that. And I think that is pretty cute and intense and fun. I would, of course, do it in the same green instead of a different one. Sorry about that. But I think that makes this a lot of fun. Put a couple, you know, after you've done that, put a couple of these little circles on here. Pop those on top of those and those berries, and that'll be super cute. And one thing about it as well, it's very thrifty because it's just paper. Not a lot of these, you know, we have some gorgeous embellishments that you can put on these that come in groups of 3. Another thing, you know, these greens, these shades of green, they would also be pretty putting those on there. Let me see here. And of course your regular rhinestone bling, you can put that on. And or you can do, these guys are also still available, and they are little peppermints that would just add, but here they are. You can see how cute that would be to put those in each spot around, or maybe just use them in 3 spots, like 1, 2, 3 or something. So that could be really cute as well. Now this one is the same way. I'm going to just put it here. I've done this one, you can see more dimension in it, I think. I've done it where, this one where I've cut it. So you can see me lift it up, like that. You can see that one is cut, and this one is not. So if you're worried about that someone might be too rough with it or whatever, you don't have to cut it out, of course. And you could also use your sponge, and I'll do that in a minute, and do the raised portions. And conversely, you could do the inside part, and then when you emboss this, it will have a really pretty color as you do that. And then you could add some gold embossing or glitter on those berries, and that would be super sweet. Okay, so let me grab that. Another thing I wanted to kind of show you was putting the exact spot. Now, I did not quite do that, but if you put the exact spot over here, then you'll have the underside showing. So that could also be cute. Hold on, I've got a dimensional backing there. But that would be cute to do as well. And you could take these off, take off the white, cut, like I was talking about cutting them before, and leave the green showing through. Okay, let me go ahead and do a couple of those just so you see what I'm talking about. I'm going to do these over here because I think they'll be the most impactful. It'll be easier to see what I'm talking about. So like this guy, and this one. I think you can see that it's not very many cuts that I'm having to make here. I am going to have to cut again on that one. There we go. So there you can see and it's embossed beneath this. So you might just do a couple of spots and let that shine through. And then you could use maybe this one and put a little red joy on top of it and pop that on red as the background. And I think that's pretty and Christmassy and fun. Okay, so then this other one I was going to show you. Oh, and then also if you're using the shaded spruce and soft seafoam, you've got to use this gorgeous double-sided ribbon with it. It's got a stitched edge, and I just think it is so pretty. I especially like it in the soft seafoam side, but you can kind of see right there what it would look like with the dark green and the shaded spruce. So pretty. Okay, this one I'm going to work on just a little bit with some green. Just kind of give it just a little bit of color. Garden green back out. You could, of course, cut yourself almost like a little, hold on just a second. There we go. Like a little thing to keep you from getting it on the white. You could cut these out like I was showing you cutting out before, and it'll make it really easy to use. I am going to just use this as my center, and I should have scrunched that out like I was doing before. But I'm trying not to get it on the berry part, but if it happens, it happens. I just think sometimes when you're making Christmas cards, you can get tired of making the same ones over and over. What I do a lot of times is I'll make 10 or 12 alike, and then I'll move on to a different style. So sometimes people are so sweet and they say, thank you so much for the Christmas card, but I don't remember which one they got sometimes. I'm like, well, I know you got a good one, but I don't know which one it was. It's like, I'm sorry. So that's kind of a comical thing too. So there you can see that. Now I wouldn't leave it like this. I would finish evening it up, and then I would, of course, like we were saying before, use that punch and add some pretty pieces of cherry cobbler cardstock. So like 3 right on that, like that. And then mount it on here. One thing, again, when I was talking about being thrifty, you could cut, as long as you didn't cut close to the edge, you could cut so many little berry pieces out of this. And this is in a trio punch, I should tell you. It has this super cute slit and this kind of like a tag topper hole punch. You could cut a lot of those out of here, a lot of these circles, and still be able to use this as a background layer. So that would be super cute. Of course, I need to cut this one a little smaller. I only cut that first one this small. And then another thing that I've done is make some, let me try to pull this over here. Make these things that I understand this is from Brenda Quintano, and hers has these great little notches, which are done with this punch, to cut out a hole that you can then wrap and glue around, just like a little 1/2-inch piece of stuff. And you can tuck the ribbon in, and it keeps the ribbon from doing what this just did, which was roll all the way around. And you can pull it through the hole, and it will make the nicest little catch. And it keeps it so nice and neat, much more so than it used to be when I just let them fall where they may, and that was not a good look. So anyway, a couple more of these I wanted to show you. This is from the gallery dies, the gallery frames, but this is not for an American card. It's for a narrow card for another country where they have a different shape. But I do think we could use that on a card and only like highlight this part and then put the ribbon across the bottom, wrap it around there. I think that would be super cute, and it would give it like a framed look. Then you could take one of these, just whichever, and pop it on there, and your little joy, and make that super cute. So there's another idea. Then on this one, I again did the garden green, and I was thinking on this one, you know, it doesn't have to be the rectangular ones that you did. You could do a circle. So many choices that you could tuck under here and make a cute little card. But point being, of course, if we had some red ribbon, I'm hoping surely there will be some in the holiday catalog, but in any case, some red ribbon will look great across the bottom. And if we don't get any red ribbon, you could certainly color some with your blends, or you could use a piece of cardstock across the bottom to make that super sweet. Okay, I was going to do a little bit of stamping here because I have noticed lately that I have not been stamping a whole lot. The first thing I'm going to do is use just this card front, and I'm going to stamp this in the garden green. Now, to keep it from doing this bouncing like you see it doing right there, I'm going to open it up so that when I stamp, I don't have any of that go on. So I'm just going to work, I'm going to move this over here, excuse me, and I'm going to work on this little card here. I'm going to try to keep them as neat as I can, stamping all across here. I'm trying not to make a pattern, but it seems like whenever I do this kind of stuff, I end up like there. I was trying not to make a pattern. I think I made a pattern, but ideally I want it to be as different and wild as it can be. And then I caught a little edge there, but I'm just try to cover it up with my next stamp, which I did. Turn it another way and another way. Get that like that. That. One thing that I think I should do is think about turning it back and forth, but then moving it to different spots. Okay, hold on, I want to get this right here. Okay, and I want to get this over here. You could, of course, do both sides. It wouldn't hurt a thing, but you don't have to. Stop there. You can put a piece of paper or something across here, dimensionals, like I just did, and that will keep you from accidentally going on to the other side. And then right here, I'm just gonna stamp directly on it so that I get a little bit there, and I can go back and try to do that with my marker. Okay, so that would be cute. You could also color it in with a, it also comes with a bell here, you can see. You could use the bells or the poinsettias in the same way. Kind of make your own designer series paper. And then you could put some pieces on the top that you wouldn't necessarily have to cover this all up. You could put it there and then stamp your sentiment on the circle or on a square and make it into something that is super cute. One thing, if I were going to do this, I would wrap this around like this, well, like this, and tie my bow over this way so that I would be able to see it on the back side as well. This is one, my point of this is this single layer of cardstock makes it easier to afford your cards if that has become an issue lately. Okay, the Merry Christmas, I just put this on the same block, and I did the same thing with the Merry Christmas in the small letters. So I wanted to try a couple of those with you. Again, using this little straight edge piece here makes it very economical to do a Merry Christmas. So I'm going to, I just keep putting this up and getting it out. I'm going to get the Merry Christmas here and stamp it on this little tiny, almost shard of cardstock. And then just use your scissors, or you can use a cutter. It would be better because I'm not super great at cutting them with my scissors. And you can see there you've got a little tiny Merry Christmas with something that I, in the past, would have honestly thrown away. But anything larger than a 1/2 inch you could use for something like this, as long as you have it as part of your plan, just so that you're prepared to do that. So then you can also stamp your joy. This one says Holly and Jolly. So that would be cute to stamp on a circle or a square or whatever you have handy. So let's, well, I thought I had a little square over here. So does it fit on that? Nope, that's the small one. I will do that every time. I will say, oh, I see it, there it is. And it's like, well, that's not what I thought it was. But anyway, you can see, just on a die cut. And then, because I was reserving this Merry Christmas to put on one of the white ones, this white one right here. Just gonna put that Merry Christmas right in there. And you may want to get, instead, you may want to get red on this, totally fine. But one thing I do, once I get it how I like it, I would just leave this Merry Christmas, and I know it's backwards. I'm so sorry, that's still a thing with Facebook. But I would just then leave this on there for the season and just put that, wherever. And then I don't have to, that block I know is my Merry Christmas block, and I can use it on not just this stamp set, but any variety of the ones that I might be using. So same thing with the Holly Jolly maybe. But this one is all one piece, whereas the Merry Christmas is separate so that the Europeans can put or the British can put Happy Christmas instead. So that's why I'm saying that, because it's not connected like the rest is. Okay, so I think I've given you some ideas here, just various little ways to use these as you're doing your crafting for Christmas. So it's really strange to be doing this in July, but if you do it in July, you will be ahead for the rest of the year. And that, your time in December won't be spent only doing cards. So I appreciate you all watching, and I hope that you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.